Hey, Algebra 1, Mr. Shatter here to teach you guys a new method of solving quadratics known as completing the square. Here's the problem. Not every quadratic is factorable, and you certainly can't take the square root of a quadratic in every single problem. Sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. So we have a new method known as complete the square that is actually solvable for any quadratic that looks like this. So ax squared plus bx plus c, this is going to be your go-to method if you need to solve any quadratic. Here's the steps. Step number 1. If the coefficient of x to the second power, which is the a in the formula, is not 1, you must divide both sides by a. So really what you need a to be 1. I like to think of that as your steak sauce, right? Every time I have a steak, I put a little A1 sauce on it. Every time I do a complete the square problem, we're going to do a little A1 sauce. You got to have your A1 sauce to solve the problem. So if we go to the right screen here, we kind of take a look at our problem. The a is 2. So we need to divide everything in the problem by 2. We need that a value to be 1. So the new quadratic is going to be x to the second power minus 16 divided 2 makes 8x plus 30 divided 2 makes 15 equals 0. All right, next step. Move the constant term, which is the c, to the right side of the equation if needed. Sometimes it's already going to be over there and you don't have to do this step. But other times, like in our problem over here, we do have to do it. The 15 needs to move over to the other side, so we will subtract it from both sides, okay? So this is going to be x squared minus 8x. And I want you guys to leave a little bit of a gap here because we are going to be placing something in that gap in a moment, equals 0 minus 15 is negative 15. All right? Here's the tough part. The next step, step 3, says to take half of b, so b is the term right here next to x, take half of it, square it, and add that value to both sides of the equation. I kind of call this the magic number. All right? The magic number is the number you have to calculate. So if we look at our problem here, in our problem, the value of b is 8. It's right here, right? So if we take half of 8, and it is negative, of course, negative 8. If we take half of negative 8, we're going to get negative 4. So half of it, so take half of it, and that's going to equal negative 4. And then we have to square negative 4. And negative 4 times negative 4 makes positive 16. That is the number. We'll use a different color here to just kind of showcase that's the number you're going to add to both sides of the equation, plus 16 plus 16. Okay, so that is known as the magic number. The magic number is the number you have to add to both sides of the equation. Don't forget to add it to the right side of the equation because that's a problem. Okay? Next step, step 4. Factor the left side, simplify the right side. So let's go ahead and try to factor the left side. So let's see. Yeah, we got this. So, all right, trinomial, no GCF. So it's going to be like this. And we know it's going to be x and x. And we know we're going to have to multiply to a positive and add to a negative. So it's double negative. And if we need to multiply to 16 but add to negative 8, it's got to be 4 and 4. All right. And then on the right side, negative 15 plus 16 is just equal to positive 1. All right, so the last step of complete the square is to just solve for x. Now, one thing you're going to notice is that this piece right here, actually is the same exact binomial, the same exact set of parentheses here in both of them. So what we can do is we can rewrite x minus 4 times x minus 4 as x minus 4 quantity squared equals to 1. When you do a complete the square problem, it will always work out like this. You will always have one factor and the exact same identical factor. That's why we're calling it complete the square, because this now x minus 4 squared is a square, right? It's a perfect square. So now we solve. How do you get rid of a square in mathematics? You take the square root. So the square root of x minus 4 squared, the square root and the square cancel each other out, leaving you with just x minus 4. And the square root of 1 is, of course, positive and negative 1. So in order to solve this further, you need to split up your plus minus. You need to write two equations. X minus 4 equals 1 and x minus 4 equals negative 1. Adding 4 to this side will give us a solution of x equals 5, and adding 4 to this side will give us a solution of x equals 3. And these would be the solutions of the quadratic using the complete the square method.